It's not words that reveal the truth. It's the eyes, the silence, the unconscious gestures. Those are the true voice of the soul. Are you listening, or are you being fooled by sweet-sounding words? Carl Jung once said, "The unconscious speaks louder than the conscious." In love, the real danger isn't lies. It's the honest signs you missed. Millions of people fall into painful relationships not because they're not smart, but because no one ever taught them how to read the language of the unconscious. Today, we're going to explore that silent language, the place where shadow desire and real love intersect. When a man truly cares about you, he doesn't have to say a word. His body will speak. His soul, if you're awake enough, will speak. Have you ever felt like something was off even when everything on the surface seemed perfect? That's your intuition, the deepest part of you quietly whispering a warning. But to truly trust it, you need symbolic language. You need to understand the archetypal signs he's showing you through his eyes, his touch of the space he keeps, and his true presence. Understanding this doesn't just help you see if a man truly loves you, it helps you reconnect with the voice inside yourself. In the next part, we'll decode why a lingering gaze reveals more than 1,000 promises, why a casual touch might carry the unconscious imprint of desire. And when he remembers the tiniest details, is that real love or just his ego playing games? If you've ever felt lost in a relationship that seemed right, don't take your eyes off this video. What comes next might just change the way you see others and yourself. Here's a truth few people ever talk about. Every conversation has an undercurrent, a silent tide where the things left unsaid speak the loudest. Carl Jung once said, "In each of us there is another whom we do not know, and that hidden self often speaks through our eyes, our gestures, our silence." Let me paint a moment for you. A woman walks out of a lovely date. Everything went well, maybe even beautifully. But as she walks away, something lingers in her chest the way his eyes looked away during the most intimate moments. It wasn't that he didn't like her. It was his shadow speaking fear of commitment, old wounds, or a need to control. You see, we don't just love with our hearts, we love with our unconscious. The eyes don't lie. Words can be crafted to please, but the gaze is a raw connection between the soul and reality. Jung called it the living symbol of libido, the psychic energy at play beneath the surface. If a man looks at you like time has stopped, if his pupils dilate when you enter the room, it's not just chemistry, it's energy in motion. His ego is being pulled by something symbolic. Maybe it's the muse, maybe it's a projection of the Anima inside him. But if his gaze just skims across you or only shows up when there's physical attraction, chances are you're just a character in a dream he hasn't woken up from yet. A casual touch on your shoulder, a gentle tap on your hand. Did it feel warm or did it feel rushed, forced? Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." A touch can be just friendly, but if it keeps happening, especially when your mind is deep in something meaningful, it might be the shadow reaching out, not to connect, but to possess. True touch comes from true presence. When a man touches you without making you tense up, without throwing you off center, that's a sign of someone whose inner sun is calm enough to embrace his own shadow. A man who is truly present with you often mirrors your posture, your rhythm, your tone unconsciously. Jung called it a symbolic bond, a connection forming where two individuals don't merge but resonate in harmony. You smile, and he smiles not to mimic, but because something inside him opens to you. You tilt your head, and he quietly shifts not to impress you, but because his psyche has let you in without knowing it. In those moments, the ego softens and something deeper, older begins to stir, like two souls remembering something ancient and unspoken. Have you ever felt that? A gaze that caught your breath, a touch that made you feel truly seen, a connection so aligned it was almost scary. Share in the comments, not to boast, but to bring light to the shadow so others don't feel alone on this path of decoding the unconscious. This community is a space to listen to the things that have never been said aloud. But this is only the first layer. There are men who show all these signs, the gaze, the touch, and the reflection, but deep down it's not love. It's the shadow trying to own. In the next part, we'll uncover how to tell the difference between a man who truly loves you and one who's just unconsciously obsessed with the image of you. How to recognize when you're being loved through someone's wounds, not their heart. If you've ever been in a relationship that felt sweet, but full of contradictions, you're not alone. The next part will give you the language to name what was once invisible. In a world full of sweet talk and quick love bombing, it's hard to tell who truly loves you and who just loves the feeling of having you. Carl Jung once wrote, "We are shaped by what we love and by what we never had the courage to fully love." Real love doesn't live in words. It lives in the quiet, consistent, often overlooked actions. 1. Prioritizing time, when presence becomes a spiritual gift. If someone is always too busy to see you, but somehow finds time for everything else, the truth is already speaking. When someone prioritizes you, they don't wait for a free schedule. They make space for you. That's libido life energy being intentionally directed your way. In Jungian psychology, it's not just about a calendar. It's a sign that their psyche has chosen an archetype, a partner, a companion, someone who matters. Here's the deeper question. Do they show up when it's inconvenient or only when it's easy? 2. Remembering details, love is attention. He remembers something you said 3 weeks ago. He brings up a tiny thing you love, even though you barely mentioned it. That's not just a good memory, it's a mind that's open to you. Jung said we only see what truly matters to the soul. When someone remembers the small things, it means you don't just live in their mind, you've left an imprint on their unconscious. Ask yourself, are you being remembered as a real living person or just a role they need you to play? 3. Inviting you into their world, the unconscious act of integration. When someone brings you into their world, their friends, their family, their passions, they're slowly carving you into their inner psychological map. According to Jung, this shows a new archetype is being integrated. You're no longer just someone outside. You're becoming part of their inner value system. Don't underestimate what it means when they take you home to meet their people, bring you along to gatherings, or share a personal playlist. That's their unconscious way of saying, I want you here, not just now, but in all the pieces of my life. A man might love you deeply, but if that love never leads to action, it's still just a dream unlived. Jung said an idea not lived becomes a dangerous shadow. The actions you see prioritizing, remembering, integrating, are how love moves from symbol to living reality. Share your story. Who's someone who made you feel truly prioritized? Who noticed the smallest things about you and made you feel seen? Your words could be the light for someone doubting their own worth. This community is a space where real love is spoken with honesty. You see, actions from an awakened heart speak louder than 1,000 words. But, as Jung also warned, even the kindest acts can carry shadow if they come from fear or control. In the next part, we'll explore how to tell the difference between actions born from love and those born from the fear of losing you. How you can learn to love through presence, not pressure. If you've ever asked yourself, am I loving the right way? The next part might just be the mirror you need. In a world obsessed with appearances where likes, filters, and spotlight moments seem to mean everything, real love often happens in the places no one sees. Carl Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Someone who truly cares about you won't stop at what you show. They'll want to understand who you are behind your gaze. They're not captivated by your exterior. They're drawn to the unspoken soul within you. Have you ever felt that someone who doesn't just listen, but sits in silence so you can hear yourself? Jung believed true listening is an act of the self, the whole integrated part of us, engaging in a sacred meeting between two inner worlds. A man who truly cares won't rush to fix you mid-story. He won't interrupt to share his perspective. He lets the silence hold space for your deepest truths to rise. If you speak of something you love, painting, astronomy, healing, gardening, and his eyes light up, that's a profound signal. Not because he loves art or stars or Reiki energy, but because he sees you alive in that moment and that draws him closer. In Jungian analysis, this is the awakening of libido, not aimed outward to possess, but directed inward toward another human being as a living symbol. You're no longer just someone, you become a reflection of the divine in ordinary life. When someone asks what you think, not to agree or argue, but to discover a new perspective they don't yet have, that's deep respect. Jung said no one becomes whole alone. We need the mirror of the other. When a man wants to hear your thoughts, not to get an answer, but to expand his own being, he's allowing your soul to help him grow. He doesn't see you as a helper, but as a mirror, a living dialogue with an awakening ego. Don't be afraid to share. When was the moment you felt someone truly wanted to understand you? Is there something you've never dared to say, afraid they wouldn't be deep enough to hear it? Your comment isn't just your experience. It could be the light someone needs while searching for something real. This community is a space where souls are seen, not just appearances judged. Deep care is a sign of true love, but it can also reflect an archetypal bond that's misunderstood. In the next part, we'll explore how to tell the difference between genuine care and attachment rooted in hidden fear. Why some people enter your life feeling like fate, only to bring deep pain. If you've ever loved someone who made you feel more understood than you understood yourself, the next video will help you ask, was that love or the echo of an unhealed soul? Love isn't just two people meeting. Love is a profound encounter between two souls where ancient wounds, unrealized dreams, and untouched parts of the self all come to the surface together. Carl Jung once said, meeting the self is like meeting the divine. When you love and are loved with awareness, no more hiding, no more playing roles, no more running. You're not just entering a relationship with someone else. You're returning to the sacred temple within yourself. Remember this. Love isn't measured by promises, but by presence. Not by how often someone says, I love you, but by how they see you even in chaos, in pain, in your shadow. The one who truly loves you won't be afraid of your darkness. They'll sit with you in silence and stillness and say, I'm here, and I still see you. If you've ever loved with your whole heart and been hurt, if you've ever thought, am I asking too much just for wanting to be deeply heard? If you've ever wondered, what am I attracting and why? You're not alone. Share in the comments. What part of this video touched you the most? What shadows are you carrying, and how do you wish to release them? We are a community of people learning to love with conscious light. Not perfect, but honest. Not all-knowing, but brave enough to face everything. If this video made you reflect, made you remember someone, or made you feel closer to yourself, hit subscribe so we don't walk this path alone. Every week, we'll dive deeper into the world of archetypes, the stories of love, loss, awakening, and rebirth. Because as Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This journey isn't over. In the next video, we'll dive into a paradoxical question. If love no longer makes you feel out of control, is it still love? And is there a way to choose the right person without repeating your unhealed past? See you in the next video, where love is no longer a dream, but a ritual of awakening.